everyone. Welcome to Between the Dots. And today we're actually talking about ASAE's upcoming Community and Engagement Platform Demo Days coming up on May 20th. For their other demo days, we actually did webinars, but instead we're going to do a long form Between the Dots. So it's our inaugural long form version to kind of give you some tips and sort of advice on communities, what their value is, and how to select. So with that, Moira, what do you think?
I think, thank you for that beautiful handoff.
We're getting good at this.
We're getting so good at this. Um, I think that there's a thread, like in what we did before the AMS demo days, the LMS demo days, and now again before community platforms, engagement platforms, is about taking some time to step back and know what you want. Like not to go in to be dazzled by all the cool things out there, but to really understand what's important to you going in. Though, of course, in this case, it is much more about what members want and need than about what staff, right?
It's so true. So this one, I think when you think about the AMS and the LMS, it's a balance of what staff needs, what the organization is looking for, and what how members are going to use it and that member experience. With communities, I really feel like you have to really know the heart of what your members want and what they're looking for. And of course, if you know me, you know I love member research. And so this is one where I would hit hard on don't guess, talk to members. What are they actually going to get value out of with a community platform? Because this is one where if you build it, they will not necessarily come. That is not going to work. And for example, I we have a client where they have a young professional community on Facebook, and they're like, it's not active, it's not active. When they researched what was going on, young professionals in that particular group, they don't want to connect with each other. They want to connect with somebody who is going to help them advance in their career. They want more of a mentor relationship. So it's not helpful to be able to talk to other young professionals.
I
And
thought you
so
were going to say they just weren't on Facebook because they're young professionals.
you would think that's another good finding, but actually in this case, yes, platform, I imagine, is a problem, but they actually just have no need to talk to other young professionals. They don't find value in that. They do find value in wanting to connect with older professionals within the tier that they are in.
So what kind of research would you do? Like, what is good research to think about community and engagement
Yeah, so
and
I would look at two different things. One is where are they naturally? So again, a different client has a women's network and they are using Facebook really actively. And so if they were to build a community, they're now competing with Facebook and that Facebook group. So, same with AWTC, right? If they were to build a community, they would be competing with Slack. And so understanding what is working well and where are people meeting outside of the association. I mean, Slack is within the association, but where else are folks meeting? But then, I mean, it's really back to basic user research, which is talking to members. So having a very structured interview to understand how do folks want to connect and engage with each other and what is the value they're deriving. So again, I'll just use a quick example. For me, if you were to do research on me on what value I get from the ASAE Collaborate community, I would tell you, oh, I get to showcase some expertise and try to make connections that way. If you ask me what value I derive from the AWTC Slack communities, I would say I get to be vulnerable and ask advice. Those are super different purposes. And so having a system that's built to support those is really important.
right, because then that's going to feed into features,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, we expect every platform to have common features like community groups that are probably either public or hidden. We want them to have discussions, maybe a place to upload documents. Don't forget, all of these came from bulletin boards originally, so there's some pretty old kind of static sorts of features to them. But I really think that there's some nuances in how each of them do that.
And so, what
Um,
do you see as a way of differentiating different systems from each other, especially as we're looking at demo days?
okay. But that actually comes back to what your members find important. So, can I dive into that thing?
Absolutely.
because if we, we worked with one organization that was attorneys, and attorneys loved going into this big discussion forum and asking each other lots of questions, knowing that it wasn't going to be taken as legal advice because they were all attorneys. So they could be very kind of forthcoming with how they approach
Mhm.
different cases, their response to different regulations. And so what was important to them as a feature was an archive of all of these questions and all this kind of case law that had been the subject of discussion that they could go back and look at, right? And when they moved platforms, they wanted to bring all of their discussions from one platform to the next as an archive. So that's really important. So that's an
Mhm.
interesting
And I
feature.
imagine if they were looking today, given that archive and searchability is so important, they might care a lot about AI and searchability that way.
Yes, and yes, and whether you can use it or not use it.
Mhm.
And in the case of
Right.
lawyers, probably not use it, right?
Hmm.
Um, but in another organization, they were in a very fast-paced, highly regulated world. So there were all these regulations coming at them that different made it that they had to do their job differently. So whether it was at the local government level, state government level, or federal government level, different laws could come down to impact them.
Hmm.
And what they needed was a fast response.
Hmm.
So they really wanted to ask, oh my gosh, this is happening. Have you had this happen in your area? And what did you do? How did you address it? How did you push back? How did you accommodate it? And so
Hmm.
um, for them, they really liked actually some of the instant messaging features that you might get that
Oh,
aren't on all
interesting.
platforms, right?
Yeah.
So again, when you know what's important to them and how they interact with each other, some of them won't ask questions of each other. There are
Mhm.
some like physician subspecialties. God bless them. These physicians have been through undergrad, medical school, residency, fellowship, subspecialty fellowship. Like they have been years in education. They only have about 20 years left to kind of make their mark and to kind of earn all their money to pay off their student loans, right?
Right, right.
Um, so they want to be seen as experts, have access to experts,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for them, they're not going to ask a question, how did you deal with this? They want to show their
Hmm.
gravitas. So they really liked having kind of timed events in the platform where they could get together and talk to the experts in the field and be
Mm.
seen as the experts in the field.
The variety of what folks are looking for and how they want to engage with a community platform is it's just so fun from client to client and project to project. In our tech roadmaps, we're often making these recommendations based on what we're hearing, but really getting into that nuance of what the members want and need is just so critical there.
Yeah, it is.
And another important thing that I always think about is the mobile experience
Oh,
because
yeah.
I am inundated with emails and I cannot keep up with these emails that come in, giving me all these discussion points and all the things that happens, the summaries. I want an app where I can just go in and really quickly go through stuff. And I'm wondering, are you seeing that at all?
Yes, it's more contained. And we're seeing associations look to that mobile experience, maybe to give that to maybe bring a little AI into it. So now you've got all this pure knowledge. Can you digest it and give them an answer while they're walking to the
Yes.
courtroom, the bedside, the office,
Hmm.
whatever it is, that they get that answer again really quickly and digesting all of the knowledge. And that's much more contained and better served, I think, in a mobile app than just trying to trundle through a discussion
Hmm.
community.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. And of course, all of this goes into creating active, vibrant, thriving communities. But Moira, I know that you've done some work on this. So, what are your
Who,
five
me?
guidelines? I feel like this should be part of the headline. Five guidelines to a thriving community.
Okay. And I think what's important about these guidelines is about making people feel like members, like they've found their people.
Hmm.
Um, Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
So
And
true.
that feeling is engagement, is belonging, is what actually keeps people members. So, these rules are about how do you get people to feel like they belong and that they can contribute and that they have meaning in a platform. And one of the first things is to make it easy to post. I remember going into this brand new platform and going, I don't know what kind of questions are appropriate here. I don't know, can I post something a little silly, a little funny? Does it have to be really serious? And like I backed away from posting because I had no sense of what the hurdle was that I needed to get past. So making it clear that a one-word answer is acceptable, allowing anonymous questions, taking away the blank space, anything that you can do to make it easy to post
So you
will
really
help.
mean about the culture of the community in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
It's not about like, is the button visible? It really is about what is the culture of this community and making that first and foremost.
yes. Other things that you can do to really foster that sense of culture is invite people in personally. I remember um, Reggie Henry talking about launching ASAE's Collaborate, and they had something like 90 champions, and that was probably a large number. But they had so many people who were personally involved in seeding the community. And so we
Mhm.
think that if we build it, that people will think, oh, this is a great place to come to, and they won't. So you, as the kind of champion, first of all, bring in other champions who then will bring in others. But
Mhm.
you have to start by asking them in personally. The power of the personal ask. Sending out a broadcast email doesn't get a response, but going to each person
Mhm.
does.
That makes total sense. Hmm.
Other things we found really useful in making communities sticky, right? Putting important content there.
Mm.
We had a client where they put their Monday newsletter there every Monday. And that was the only place to get it. And when it went out an email, it was a link. And when you clicked on the link, it brought you into the community.
That makes
And there
sense.
were comments and discussions there about things that were coming up and about people being celebrated. So if
Hmm.
they were celebrating a member, it was celebrated in the community. So they brought people in because that was the only place to get their newsletter.
That's like a high risk, high reward strategy because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could go badly. But if you have a piece of content you know is super valuable to members, then driving them there to get it makes a ton of sense.
right. I think bringing them in for timed activities is
Hmm.
really helpful. It could be a happy hour.
Hmm.
It could be like a co-mentoring cohort event, a
Hmm.
situation room where you've peer consulting. But people will not always just go in because,
Hmm.
but they will go. People are always much more likely to go into a community if there's a time and they put on their
Hmm.
calendar and they have to go at this time or they miss it.
That makes, yeah, that works so well for
Yeah.
folks.
My last guideline would be to enforce consequences.
Ooh, what do you mean
So,
by that?
well, if you want people to feel like they belong, this needs to be a place where they trust that they will be treated well or appropriately, right? That there isn't somebody, shutting down their comments or pushing,
Hmm.
just being rude or overly aggressive.
Hmm.
Um,
Or even
whatever
too
you
salesy, you know? Like,
Yeah, too salesy. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And you can have whatever rules. I mean, there are some communities out there that explicitly bring together buyers and sellers. So being
Hmm.
salesy in that community is not a problem. But whatever your rules are,
Hmm.
having them clear and being seen to enforce them means that people go, okay, good, I can say this thing.
Yeah.
And or I can't say this thing, but it's being attended to. And then it becomes a place where you can trust that you will be treated well. I remember posting once in a different community and being totally shut down
Oh, interesting.
and feeling
What crazy thing did you post?
horrible. I asked a question about a book, about how associations work, and somebody said to me, go read the book.
Oh,
Really?
ouch.
I'm like,
Rude. Yeah.
okay, well, I won't ask another question in this community then, right?
Yeah.
Like
Like,
It
Rude,
shuts
yeah.
down interaction.
Like
Yeah.
not even a controversial thing to post, it seems, but you bring up a good point here because this speaks to staffing. You need somebody who's going to be managing this, moderating it, and like all good technology products, it should have a product manager that's aware of updates, aware of what's happening in the discussions, moderating the discussions, but also working with the vendor, making sure it's aligning with your mission and vision and values. And so that becomes one of their responsibilities.
Yes, I love that. I love that idea of a product manager because we really have to own
Yeah.
the communities. They flounder if they're
Hmm.
not actively seeded from a programmatic point of view and kind of arranged from a product point of view to support that what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for folks going into demo days, what we can do to kind of wrap all of this up in a nice bow is, you're not necessarily going to have all your user research before you walk into demo days next week, but knowing that you should do that before you make a product decision is very helpful. So really know your members, know what they want, know what they're going to find valuable and bring a sense of belonging and meet a need. Understand the different features that different communities offer. And that is something that demo days should give you a very, very good sense of. So you can pair the right communities with your member value. Um, and then understanding how to cultivate a thriving community moving forward so that your investment in this tech, in this product, doesn't just wither away because you've invested in the product. You've made sure that it's going to be thriving. So there's sort of almost a three-step process, like know your member, know the community features, select the community that's a best fit, and then nurture and help it thrive.
Yeah, it's a big lift, but it's so worthwhile because it really is an active and engaged membership. And for those that have done it well, their online community is often listed as their number one member benefit. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, hope everybody has found some valuable tips, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.